And welcome back. This is your man Warrior, and this is for another roster review for PCH. PCH is representing Suit and Tie Pilots. That's right. Shout out to Suit and Tie Pilots. PCH is one of my patrons, and he is okay with this being public for the benefit of everybody who can see this, so they can see anything that he's doing right and maybe things that he could improve upon. So the first thing I look at is, the basic overall stats, and we're looking at the Galactic Battles 1 and the total PvP battles, and that puts him somewhere in having played about 7 to 10 months, with 7 being about the fastest he could get here, and about 10 months if he was as the latest, if he struggled with Galactic War at all or not. But so 7 to 10 months, he's been in the game for a while. His arena squad is highly impressive. He's arena rank number 14. Now, he's not a completely and utterly free-to-play character. He has, probably spent just a tiny bit of money, but he's definitely not a whale. I'll show you in a minute. He's definitely not a whale at all. But he, has some of these guys to Gear 11 and stuff, and Boba Fett Gear 11, we all know that is a nightmare. That is an absolute nightmare. Gear donated in Guild Exchange over 2K. Wow, that is impressive. That is very selfless. That's very giving. I'm sure the Suit and Tie Pilots love you, PCH. So that is pretty awesome. So the first thing I'm looking at is the arena squad. He's got a Boba lead. That is not a bad idea. Boba lead really makes him the focal point of the RNG when he's on the defending side, and that's the character that comes back to life. So it's like they have to kill 6 people when the RNG's playing. So that's pretty cool. Han Solo, I know why you have him in here. It's so your team can go first. That's super smart. And when you look at your speed, now of course everyone might go, oh, 209 speed's not good. It's relative to the shard or to the leaderboard that you're on. I am sure 209 is more than enough for your shard, because it's only a 7-8 month old shard. So that is really good. It looks like you've modded him the way you needed to, which was using whatever mods could get you the best speed. And Han has his purpose for sure. Definitely has his role. Boba has his role. And you got Wedge and Biggs. Super smart. Biggs. Goal here would be to have critical chance and critical damage up as much as possible. I noticed you got critical damage 176. So you're trying. You got your speed up pretty high. And honestly, Biggs and Wedge get additional speed modifiers because a Wedge is unique. So you don't really have to get these guys to speed up too much, but speed's always good. So this is great. This looks good. It looks like you're using the mods you have. Mods are really a hard part of the game to get any of them that are good. Anytime they drop those mod packets or mod things, I would definitely pick them up. Again, this looks good. Your health and protection, you got a little protection on there, a little extra speed, some critical damage. Your potency and tenacity are bumped a little, so that's good. So overall, your physical criticals around 50%. That's pretty good, and that'll get bumped anyway, especially when Biggs calls him, because Biggs automatically basically makes it a crit guarantee. It's 75% increase, which is almost a guarantee. The only character on here I see that's a possibility that you could drop and sub in someone else is Lando. Lando had his day of glory. He's still a great character, and he does a ton of damage, and so you could still leave him on here, and maybe he's tearing your leaderboard up. So if that's the case, then leave him. But if you're looking that you're kind of struggling with getting into the top 10 and who can I bring in that would really pop me to that next level, couple of thoughts. If you're not facing a bunch of B2s, and there's probably a pretty good chance you're not, then you could definitely get your Sunfac geared up a little bit more and use Sunfac and do a 2-tank situation. So the 2-tank situation, a lot of people say that's a thing of the past. Really is not a thing of the past in most shards, as long as they're not running B2s. If they're running B2s, it's a moot point, obviously. So Sunfac could be someone, if you don't see a bunch of B2s, that you could place in there. The other thing is Emperor Palpatine. You got Emperor Palpatine 7-star gear 10. That's awesome. Emperor Palpatine would be great if you're facing basically your team. If your leaderboard is filled with just a bunch of other rebel teams, Emperor Palpatine's going to be kind of that really cool mix, because he's going to drop down a bunch of their stats, and he's the anti-rebel, right? So I would definitely suggest him as an alt. You could pop him in from time to time and see how it holds and how offensively it works. But Lando's not a bad suggestion, and for what you have, that's not bad. So the initial look over on characters, you can see your top row is really good, and then it kind of falls down from there, and that's what happens when you're, for the most part, a relatively free-to-play character. It then goes down to just not having a whole lot of credits and things like that to level everybody up. So you've unlocked a number of characters. That's what happens after 8 to 10 months of play. I see you developing certain characters like Ayla and Darth Maul, First Order. That's pretty good. Asajj Ventress is kind of surprising that you're working her, but that's good. She is actually going to be very good in this current meta, so she's kind of a fun project. I see you have Shore Trooper. He's only 3 stars, but you're gearing him up. That's good. He's extremely viable, even at 3 stars, because he's a tank. I see you got Rex, coming on up. That's good. Your TIE Fighter pilot, Darth Vader. So that's really good. You're 5. So it looks like overall, Tebow's getting up there. You've got a pretty solid focus on what you're wanting. Your Rebels were definitely the thing you focused on first, probably so you could get Emperor Palpatine so you could run that. So the arena overall, you're number 14. Your mods look pretty good. Maybe switch Lando out for Emperor Palpatine or Lando out for Sun Fac when he gets a little higher. Let's go ahead and go to the light side to see what you're going to use on light side battles. So you could probably zip through most of the light side battles, all the way up to probably level 8 or maybe beyond with your top 5 that you have here with Stormtrooper Han, Qui-Gon Jinn, Lando, Wedge, and Biggs. Those top 5 should be able to take you very, very far on the light side, and they look great. Side note, I see Han Solo starting to get geared in startup. That's pretty fun. What that means is you are in a good league. They're getting you heroic raids, and they're getting you the shards for Han Solo, so good on them for working as a team. Let's go ahead and go to Dark Side and take a look there. You've got Boba Fett, of course, Emperor Palpatine, Royal Guard, Sun Fac, TIE Fighter, Darth Vader. You've got a great selection. You're even gearing Kylo and Shore. So this looks awesome. I would recommend, honestly, probably, again, your top 5, the Royal Guard Sun Fac dual tank combo with Boba and Emperor Palpatine and TIE Fighter, with the Emperor Palpatine being lead, and the reason for that is TIE Fighter pilot then is going to go crazy and get a ton of turn meters. So I would recommend Emperor Palpatine lead on the dark side when you're doing those missions. You should be able to get up or beyond the level 8 with these characters, but if not, you may just need to gear your Royal Guard and Sun Fac a little bit more. And by the way, I would focus on Emperor Palpatine, finishing him off. He is a phenomenal character, and you got him to gear 10, so I would continue to try and work on him and get him higher. I know you're saying gear is hard to get, especially at this level, and that is true, so take it with a grain of salt, but that's definitely what I would do. As far as Galactic War, your arena team would be great for Galactic War. So that would be fine to use for Galactic War. I do want to go really quick to your Scoundrels, because there's a lot of events that require Scoundrels, such as the credit heist and the training droid thing and whatnot. And of course, you're very smart. You've got your Lando, Storm, and Boba, and IG. Those 4 are like the staple 4 that you gotta have. It looks like you've given up on Clone Wars, Chewbacca, and now use Han Solo. He's fun, and he is definitely better than Chewbacca for these events. So I would continue to level up your IG and Han Solo. However, you're probably noticing with your 3 gear 11s, Lando, Boba, and Stormtrooper, that it's really not that hard now. You're probably able to do the highest tier, even with IG-88 and Han Solo not maxed out. But that looks really, really good. I am going to go back to Empire, because that is kind of the new meta that's coming up. So we're going to kind of take a look at that. And the top 5 are the ones that I would develop for you, and you're developing those. So that looks really, really good. I would continue to develop your Royal Guard, Darth Vader, and Shore, and continue to get up Emperor Palpatine and Vader. Now, let me see. Grand Moff Tarkin you're developing. I want to know why, so I'm going to go to the capital ship, or not capital ship, but crew members. And it looks like your Admiral Akbar is the highest, and I know that from another picture you've shown me, you use Admiral Akbar as your commander, so unless you're wanting to possibly have that ability to switch to Grand Moff Tarkin from time to time, I would stick with Admiral Akbar and continue to put your energy into him. Looks like you need one piece of gear to get him to gear 10, and that makes a huge difference both in his usability in the game plus his ship. His ship is the most high-powered ship in the game as far as the actual power rating goes, and it's a great balanced capital ship for sure. As far as crew members, you've got most of them, and it looks like you're working on them. The one that I would suggest that's really in here that looks like you're probably working on that's low is Poe Dameron and Darth Maul. Both Poe's and Darth's ships are awesome. You're going to have to get them out of the ship currency that you get out of that shop, but Darth Maul's ship with the stealth's awesome. Everybody else will hit harder while they're in stealth, and you can throw that stealth or the ability of retribution onto one of your tanks and let the tank just go crazy. Poe Dameron's ship just hits hard. It's one of the hardest, if not the hardest hitting ship in the entire game. Looks like you're gearing him up, so that is good. And then I don't know who else you're using ship-wise. We'll go into ships here in just a second, and I'll take a look at the ships, and then we will go through that. Let's see if there's anything else. We've done light side, dark side. Just curious on your clones. Nope, Fives and Rex. That's who pretty much everybody gets and works on. Let's see droids. IG and HK and IG-86. You're semi-working on the top 3 droids, and that's not a bad thing. Those are, I would back burner those and just, when you have time and a chance, work on those eventually. Just curious, the Ewoks, we had an Ewok event just come up, and looks like you probably struggled in it like I did, because you really haven't worked on these much. You do have Ewok Elder and Chirpa unlocked. That's cool. At some point down the road in-game, they would be fun characters to level up for sure. First Order's kind of, relatively new as far as the rework. Captain Phasma, Kylo Ren, and First Order Stormtrooper. It looks like you're getting these guys up. For the mod battle, you're going to have to get these guys up to at least gear 8. But Captain Phasma and Kylo Ren and First Order TIE Pilot probably are the 3 best in the First Order series. So those would be the 3 that I would focus on. And then for your Geonosians, your Sunfac and your Geonosian Soldier, both those are great characters. Both have great ships, so there's duality there. Definitely continue with your Sunfac. And then if you're using Geonosian Soldier's ship, I would get that up. As far as healer, if you're going to use a healer team to get through Galactic War, and you probably aren't, you're probably using your Rebels and your Empire. By the way, I would use Empire first for the first 6 nodes or 7 nodes, and then once they die off, then I would switch to your Rebel team, because your Rebel team is going to be able to do the final push pretty easily. Old Daka, she's excellent. Jawa Engineer is excellent if you have to do or if you're going to do your droids and stuff. I wouldn't worry about Talia, and if you're using Jedi Consular ship, actually I know you're using Jedi Consular ship, you definitely want to continue getting Jedi Consular up. As far as Jawas, you're getting them there. You want the mod battle, I'm guessing. You're probably going to have to get them all up one more level from the 7 to the 8 minimum. You'll probably need to get them to gear level 8, maybe 9, and then you're going to have to definitely raise they're all at 50, 58, 60, 64. You're going to have to get that up probably over 70 for the additional stat boost. As far as unlocking Emperor Palpatine, you already done that, but for Yoda, let's take a look. You already got a 7-star Yoda, so you had a good team. Let's see what you had. Jedi Consular, keep developing. Ayla, she's super fun, and she's totally anti-meta, meaning she's great against any of the current most popular characters. Anytime you can get someone that has retribution that basically counters, that will hit the opponent and stun them, that is excellent. Qui-Gon, of course, he's a classic. Jedi Knight Anakin's excellent. Luminara is great. Ima is great, and Ahsoka is great with Jedi Knight Anakin. And of course, Jedi Consular's ship is great. So if you are working the AAT tank raid, you've got plenty of characters I've seen today to go through the AAT tank raid. This would be a great phase 1 team, your Jedis. And I would actually, once you get Ayla up high enough, make her the leader, and then have Ima and Jedi Knight Anakin, Ahsoka, and probably Qui-Gon Jinn on that team. So it looks good. And then as far as, let's see, Sith, I'm just curious. You do have them. You don't have Savage yet. That's okay. He's probably the worst of all of these. Count Dooku and Darth Sidious are all right. Looks like you're getting them up. They're gear 6. Again, kind of passively work on them. I'd focus more on Emperor Palpatine, Darth Vader, and Darth Maul, just due to the fact that they are more usable in more areas of the game. But we know there's a ton of new Sith coming out, so keep your eyes out on these characters. Count Dooku and Darth Sidious may become much more relevant over the next couple of months, and you're kind of halfway there, so good on you for focusing on that. And lastly, Tuskens. You've got one of the 3 Tuskens, and you've got them at 1, basically just unlocked, and that's kind of funny. What I also want to do is just look at the overall health of what you're farming, what things that maybe you farmed that maybe you should stop, or characters that you haven't farmed that maybe you should. Overall, you've done a great job of selecting characters hyper efficiently. Everything that I'm looking at now are characters worthy of being farmed for sure. The next few rows, they're definitely great characters. Grand Moff Tarkin, you don't need for Empire necessarily. You don't need for the ships because you use Admiral Akbar. But if you're thinking of switching over, or you want a little more versatility on Empire, you could continue to go there. The rest of them, it looks like you're trying to get your Jawas up and things like that. So that's excellent. Princess Leia, while she was a fun rebel, she had her time after the armor compression situation where they readjusted that. Her usefulness has gone down quite a bit, and there's just more, there's better options for rebels, so I wouldn't go with Princess Leia anymore. I would continue to develop Ayla. Looks like Talia and Chewbacca are kind of, gear 6 and 7. I would abandon them completely. Asajj, you can continue to work. Biston, you can continue to work. He's super fun. Darth Sidious, you could continue to work. Count Dooku Poe, you could continue to work. So it comes down now to the kind of the bottom. At some point when they're farmable, Death Trooper and Director Krennic will be fun to level up. And Darth Maul, I would continue doing Darth Maul and First Order TIE Pilot. You don't really have the clones, so I wouldn't put any real energy into the Clone Sergeant. Or I wouldn't worry about Mace Windu. Don't worry about Night Sister Initiate or Dengar. Resistance Pilot, if you decide to use her ship, then I would get her leveled up. I wouldn't worry so much about the rest of them that are in the bottom. There's really nobody in the bottom that I would focus on. Because you have enough rebels and whatnot. So all in all, you're not focused on the ones you shouldn't be, and you can see the ones you're currently developing. The only ones that I would say kind of abandon and forget about now would be Princess Leia, Talia, and Clone Wars Chewbacca, and then the rest just continue to develop. And then if you don't need Grand Moff Tarkin for any reason, then I would probably stop investing into him. But overall, you did a really great job of farming who you needed to farm in this particular area. So now we're going to move over to ships and give you some suggestions on ships. All right, so here is your team. It looks like you're using Biggs and Wedge and Sunfac initially, and then you've got Jedha Consular and you've got the Umbaran Starfighter or whatnot. The Umbaran Starfighter is kind of fast and is a pretty hard hitter. I'm guessing you're using him for the heavy hitting. And Ahsoka, I see, is on the bench, and so is the TIE Fighter that you're using. So this is my 2 cents. I would move the Umbaran 5's ship and Sunfac's ship into your reserves. And this is why. I would put Sunfac in the first slot for reserves, so when Biggs dies, Sunfac comes in and takes his place. So you always have a tank throughout the entire battles that you're doing, okay? So I would have it be Biggs, Wedge, Jedha Consular, Ahsoka, and your First Order TIE Pilot that you're using. Now, the reason for that, too, is the First Order is going to hit harder than Sunfac, so that you need a little bit more offense initially in there. And Ahsoka hits hard as well, and so you're going to be adding 2 attackers to your lineup for your initial battles. Plus, Ahsoka can't dispel the tanks on the bench. She's got to come in after someone dies, and kind of too late right then. So my suggestion would be to bring the bottom 2 up into your initial 5 lineup, and then drop Sunfac in slot 1 and Umbaran in slot 2. And Sunfac can come in when your Biggs is dead. And then, use the team as you have it. To the left, I see you've got a number of other ships that you could be using, like Geonosian Soldier. He's pretty slow, so I would keep him benched for now. And it looks like you have Biston's ship. You know, you don't really have the characters needed to really run that ship efficiently yet because there's multiple pilots. So if you have your third slot open up eventually, I would probably try to get, you know, either the Resistance pilot or the TIE fighter pilot ship in there, so you can have a little bit more attack power in this. But overall, your ships look great. Just looking overall basics on your ships as far as strength goes, you know, you're working on Biggs and Wedge and Sunfac and Jedi Consular, the Umbaran Starfighter, the Imperial TIE fighter with the TIE fighter pilot, Ahsoka, Geonosian Soldier. All of those, continue to develop them because that's what you have as far as that goes. Let me look at the next row of ships that you have. And it looks like your First Order TIE Fighter is kind of low right now, so continue to develop him. And your Resistance X-Wing, the character's pretty darn low, so you'll want to develop him a little more. The Resistance X-Wing is a great ship since you have it, but you only have it at 1 star. And it looks like you're going to need to work on your dark side ships because, as far as I can tell, you only have like 1, 2, 3, you know, four ships right now, something like that. So you're going to have to get another ship. Definitely farm Darth Maul's ship. He can be your 5th, and his ship is just super awesome. So that's what I would say about ships. Everything in there looks really, really good. Last thing I'd say about ships is go to your Galactic War and go into Redeem and buy all of them in here. You can get all the ships leveled up really, really fast, except for about 4 of them. There's only 3 or 4 ships that you can't get out of here as far as farmable ships, such as Rex and Poe and Darth Maul. You're going to have to get those ships. Well, and Biston's ship as well. You're going to have to get those ships out of the ship's shop. And when you're doing that, going into the ship shop, the fleet shipments, you know, get a couple of these ships. You can see, like, I got Rex. You're going to want to farm. Take your currency and divide it up. Half the currency go towards, you know, ships, and then the other half going towards maybe characters that you want. And then, you know, when you feel like you got your ships where you need them as far as the 5 dark side, and you can start unlocking Zeta materials, then you can start getting Zeta materials through the challenge. So just like this challenge right here, the ship's ability challenge. Now, it doesn't drop very high in there, and the temptation will be to spend the currency on Zetas in the shard or in the ship. The ship shipments, but I would still recommend in the fleet shipments that you do half of it on ships and the other half on characters you want or need, because there's definitely some really cool characters that drop in here, such as Darth Maul. So I hope that this helps you out and helps you understand what you should be doing. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior, out.